Kathy, are you in the room? I'm checking in on that. Okay, thank you. Would you raise your hand, please, if you've sung Vivaldi's Gloria previously? The full thing, not just the first movement, but only if you've done the full. Hands down for a moment, too. I'm going to ask this because I've been a teacher. I'm not actually teaching this year, but it was always the bane of my existence as a teacher when I got this hand raised from a student. So if you raise hands, just because of the tiered seating, it's difficult for me to actually see accurately. If you have sung Vivaldi's Gloria, will you raise your hand, please? Good. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up a second. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. Stand.
Vivaldi was a violinist who wrote Four Seasons?
Yes, absolutely. Violinist wrote the Four Seasons, which is a collection essentially of 4 independent violin concerti that are performed as one group or one large work, each of which represents the seasons in a unique, programmatic, narrative way. You hear the birds chirping, he writes it. A lot of people talk about Berlioz's Symphony Fantastique as the first example of programmatic music. Not true. Someone else, please. The Four Seasons wasn't either. I just like to dispel that. Yes, Stu.
Il Preto Rosso.
Yes, which means what, and what is that?
The Red Priest.
And it refers to?
His red hair.
Yes.
And he was a priest.
Yes, he was. He started studying to be a priest when he was like a late teenager as well. He spent his entire life devoted to the faith. Someone else, Nancy? He wrote what?
Orphanage.
Yes, without a doubt, this is the most important and relative fact. There is an orphanage that we will call the Pietà. You'll see a lot of concerts that are called, dedicated to or celebrating the Pietà. It was an orphanage in the 18th and 17th century in Italy. And this orphanage was significant because the illegitimate children of rich merchants and noblemen and noblewomen went to this orphanage. So if a child was had out of wedlock by a nobleman whose marriage may have been arranged or may have been for political or financial gain, might not have had a loving relationship with their partner, they may have had a child out of wedlock, and those individual students went to this orphanage. The reason this is so significant is because the orphanage received patronage. It received lots of donations, lots of money, lots of support to make sure that the students were very well taken care of. In addition to that, they received an extraordinary music education. So all of the women, all of the girls in this orphanage were extraordinary musicians. They were recorder players, flute players, baroque guitar and lute players, singers. And this piece, Vivaldi's Gloria, it has been studied for like 50 years. There are many different recordings. One recording has the choir only performing the soprano and alto part, and instruments performing the tenor and bass part. Another recording has an SSAA choir singing the whole thing. The tenor part is up an octave. The bass part is up an octave. It's a very weird sonic experience because the fundamental, depending on like the different position of the chord, doesn't really sound like it should as in a normal bass part. But these were recordings that were made and studies that were done because no one knew what happened. Now, after unearthing a couple of documents that have to do with paying people, they are payment records that individuals thought might not have been necessarily the most relevant piece of information, we can confirm that no tenors and basses would have been hired in for this special performance, but instead there was listed 2 baritones and 2 tenors, and they were female members of the ensemble. So there is a CD called Vivaldi's Women, and it's a performing CD and a DVD documentary of female basses, female tenors, and an all soprano, alto, or kind of female gender-identifying ensemble performing this music. So my comment about the tenors that are singing in the tenor part here is historically accurate, totally fine, and amazing. And so that's something unique for us to know. Stephen, is the audio thing hooked up and ready to go?
Maybe.
Okay.
I did everything I usually do, but it didn't seem to work.
Stephen and I were struggling, or Stephen specifically was struggling with this. Good. So for the first rehearsal, I usually prepare a playlist. We listen to a few tunes. This is a very readable piece, so this is the only time we'll listen to excerpts of it. But I'd like for you to hear, both in the space, or at least the greatest replica of the space, but the identical voicing for the ensemble. The bass and tenor start this movement. It's the second movement of the work. These are young teenage girls who are singing the soprano and alto part. It might sound rough around the edges compared to what we're used to in a choral recording, but it is probably far more accurate than the Robert Shaw recording of the Vivaldi Gloria, or any period Baroque ensemble even. The rawness, authentic sincerity of these voices, intonation problems that plague teenage female singers, just normal sorts of things that happen are hard to navigate. You can hear the chromatic bass. So this is a recording of the entire Gloria, as well as many other works. I will always involve some practice resources for you in the homework email. So you'll all get an email tomorrow, already uploaded to this drive, are practice files for each one of these pieces, in addition to PDF scans of my scores, every breath mark, every dynamic marking for every single movement. So although we have off next Monday for Labor Day, you'll have some homework over the next 2 weeks. But I'll also upload the full Vivaldi Gloria, Vivaldi's Women, so you can hear that. It's for those of you that are audiophiles and those of you that know this piece pretty darn well, it's a unique listen. It's a really Anyway, it's just a cool lens to view this piece through. Edge of the seat, please. Let's go right back to the choral entrance. Susan, can we start at 14, 15, 16, please? Measure 16. Kathy, this is the tallest stool, yeah?
Yeah, that's the best we can find.
I did not, but it feels like it. This is measure 16. Edge of the seat, please. Heckled on day 1. 1, 2, and up. 1 and Gloria, Gloria. And Gloria, Gloria. But it has some traps in it. Would you just repeat this first word? Gloria, Gloria. Ready? And Gloria, Gloria. You must not do glow, glow, glow. If there is an implied W, you are doing it incorrectly. Sopranos, Gloria, Gloria. Gloria, Gloria. Good, then don't accent the end. I accented it because I was trying to bring you in a rhythmic teaching pattern. Gloria, Gloria. Ready? And Gloria, Gloria. Excellent. The ah must be an internal release, so your pencil should be moving feverishly to put the ah of Gloria in parentheses, so you know, oh, it's less loud, and you want a little at the front. Gloria, Gloria, accent every single time, the first syllable. Altos, 2, ready, and Gloria, Gloria. Yeah, but can you also have life and be happy that you're here and not be intimidated down close? 2, ready, and Gloria, Gloria. Good, but don't make it Gloria, Gloria. In an effort to make it adult and beautiful and stentorian, you do that. Gloria, Gloria. When you think of a brighter Italian sound, 2, ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. Much better, thank you. Tenors, please, 2, ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. Good, we're getting a glo-o-o right here. It's got to be A-W, absolutely full retail value, 2, A-W, and Gloria, Gloria. You take it, bass, 2, ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. Good, will you be careful though, the shortness of the Gloria, Gloria. It doesn't make it accented subconsciously or unintentionally. Everyone please, Gloria, Gloria. Ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. But whoever did the unintentional solo, we got a little bit of glow, so we're doing it again. 2, ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. Excellent job, that was nice. There's one tenor I can hear is doing this. Claw, the K-L thing. Some people do that to make the G cut. I don't like it. But there was 1 or 2 voices here, maybe it was an alto on the edge, but don't do Claudia, Claudia. Now, church conductor or any other conductor might have told you that. It's a legitimate technique, I just don't subscribe to it. Last time, ready, and up. Gloria, Gloria. Good, then this word, please. In, and. In. It should be bright like that. It's fine. It is an east to west vowel, but in addition to the east to west, will you just give it a little height so it's not just in, but in, and. In. Good. Then this word is excelsis. Go. Excelsis. Don't do excelsis. Some of you will be in that habit and it will take you a couple of weeks to break it. That's fine. But it's E-H-K-S-H-E-L-L. Excel. Speak and up. Excelsis. Excellent job. Can we now speak in rhythm, please, starting at the top of 19, 20, 21. Measure 21, please. The half notes. Speak 1, 2, and 1, and up. Stop, please. Tenor right here with in. Far too bright. Ready, and up. Good. Please raise your hand if you know what the operative syllables are in each one of those words. What are the stressed syllables in excelsis?
Shell.
Yes, sorry, I shouldn't have said it. And then in the next word that starts with a D, the operative syllable is? Yes. So can you please put a tenuto? Maybe not 2 to 9 as far as the difference, but like 4 to 7. Can you give me a little bit more even when speaking? Edge of the seat, please. And I'm legislating a smile. 1, 2, and 1, and up. And soft and go. Go. Good. Now we're going to be careful to make sure that the half notes have life. Will you please hear the subdivision that Susan has underneath you? Susan, will you play with us? You're going to play your continuous eighth notes. You will not sing the pitches. You will only speak. 1, 2, and 1, and up. Now the soft one, and good. Now you all know where we're at, yes? Good. Now will you please pulse for me in eighth notes? 1, 2, and ready, and up. Good, but stop. There is one person who has placed the S, excelsis, the second S, excelsis, and tried to add a breath or something every time. That person should just cross the S out and not do it. When you are in doubt of those sorts of consonant placements, leave it out. There are 118 other people who will do it. That's okay. And in a choral ensemble, I'm a tenor 2 in most ensembles. If it's a high note and I can sing it loud, I can do it. Otherwise, if it's gossamer high, I can't. So F sharp, senza vibrato, totally exposed in the tenor line, I'm going to falsetto it, or I will mouth it and look really invested as if I'm singing. So when you hear me say, when in doubt, leave it out, and it's not sarcastic, and you shouldn't feel bad. Everyone will not be able to sing every note at the speed, at the dynamic, with this. That's why choirs are great, because we get to band together to achieve something greater than our individual self and individual performance. So when I say things like that, don't hear them sarcastically. Hear them, I don't know, sincerely or kindly. Last time, please, you're pulsing an E, but without the early S from this area. 1, 2, 1, and up. Good. Now take a moment, please, and bracket the accompaniment underneath your vocal line so you are aware of the perpetual eighth notes. We as choral singers look at half notes and we don't count and we don't subdivide. You must make sure that it's underneath, because almost every live performance I see, the tempo goes through this wonky thing there, and then Gloria is never quite together with the orchestra. It's never tight enough. Stand, please, and sing, starting at the vocal entrance. Susan and I will start at measure 16. Susan and I will start at 16. 3 and up. Gotta, and Gloria, Gloria. Good. We're almost there. I know how frustrating it is to be stopped that quickly, but in less than a year, we will be singing for every choral professional that I've interacted with in my professional career, and that we will continue to as well. It's got to be absolutely precise. Gloria, Gloria. It can't be Gloria, Gloria. There can't be that agogic accent. Last time, please, right on it. Here's D major. Make sure this F sharp is really clear. Don't sing in A natural altos. 1, 2, and 1, and up. Gloria, Gloria. And 1, and Gloria, Gloria. 1, 2, 1, E, and. To me, like the greatest piece of music ever written. It's cool, it's fun, and it's a nice little opener, but it is not profound music, so we have to add a little bit of layers depending on the harmonic stresses. I'm going to ask you to write some dynamics. Find the forte in Gloria, bar 28. Bar 28. Will you please, Gloria, quarter S? Then the next dynamic, will you write it as mezzo piano? Gloria. Then quarter rest, second beat of measure 30. Beat 3 of measure 30, forte, big, loud. Then a quarter rest in measure 31, so the ah half note turns into quarter note, quarter rest. And then at measure 31, beat 3, will you make the dynamic mezzo piano? And will you crescendo through this entire long half note thing that happens, please? And let's see if it doesn't give a little bit more life to the music. Let's start at measure 25, the piano of the inexcelsis statement. Thanks, Susan. That sounds like a dominant. 1, 2, and ready, and. onset. 1, 2, 1, E, and. And breath, and. Gloria. Right. Gloria. Go. Gloria. And. Gloria. Good, thank you. Will you not stop the crescendo, and will you involve far more vibrato once you get to the word Deo? Will you crescendo throughout all of it, and can we never sense that the crescendo stops? And when you get to the word De of Deo, will you please add vibrato, but don't add vibrato until that point. Right there, starting at bar 28, please. Bar 28, the D major chord, forte. You're on the second half of the bar, 1 and up. Gloria, and Gloria, go. Gloria, and Gloria, and I'm sorry, I helped you over, but you all were right with me and you took the hand. Absolutely, do what the conductor says. Thank you, I appreciate that. So that is a totally, all of a sudden, at like measure 32, you entirely transform to something that is much more mature, much more imposing, much more daunting all of a sudden. That Deo vowel is a large, deep epsilon, please. Then at measure 38, please. Would you put the dynamic at mezzo piano plus and make sure all cell phones are off before rehearsal? But it's rehearsal 1, that's okay. Cross out that forte marking at 38. Right, mezzo piano. And then a quarter rest at the end of that bar, bar 38. Then at measure 39, right, mezzo forte. Then at bar 40, in action, crescendo to forte. In action, by shell at measure 41, we're forte. And then did you diminuendo to the word cease, or the syllable cease? And then on the final statement of Deo, will you crescendo that doesn't cease? So all the way through measure 48, the crescendo doesn't stop and becomes more dramatic with vibrato by the final bar, please. Let's try that and see how it sounds. Let's start at measure 38. Thanks for the quick one. But let me say this too. Gloria, Glo, everything still acts the same. Even in the softer dynamic, there's an accent right at the front. There is a hard GL sound that is crisp and rhythmic, and the ah of Gloria is always slightly less accented. We've got to make sure we get the stress release. Sorry, here are pitches. Good. 1, 2, 3, and up. Gloria, and Gloria. Should not start until measure 43. The diminuendo should not start until measure 43. So let it be forte for a couple of bars there. Altos, you must write an accent on your G sharp, measure 41. You must write an accent on your F sharp, the next bar, E natural, the next beat, and then your D sharp. Tenors, you must put an accent on your B sharp. You will still diminuendo, but sha, you're going to put a little H aspirate in there, so you accent it and it brings the ear to it. Sha, that B sharp is so dreadfully important to us. Start again, please, at measure 38. Put a plus sign next to your mezzo piano. Put a plus sign next to your mezzo piano, measure 38. Good, and just because it's soft, can be contained, but you still rhythmic and vibrant. Edge of the seat. 1, 2, ready and up. Gloria, and Gloria. recording and like 2/3 of the section is getting it. Susan, will you play that at 52 for the basses? It's the blues note. I mean, it's the note in the bar without a doubt, but you just got to know that it's coming. Can we sing all together, please, starting back at measure 47, 8, 9, 50. Measure 50. Forte marking, full. There's a quarter rest at the end of bar 51. There's a quarter rest at the end of bar 51. Sorry, here's the 7. 1, 2, ready, and up. Gloria in excelsis, Gloria in excelsis Deo. Out and Gloria in excelsis Deo. Out and careful with those half notes. The release are sooner. And good. We didn't earn the ending yet, but we're doing okay. Starting please at measure 62. Measure 62, when you write mezzo piano plus is your dynamic, entrance dynamic each. And if you have notes that last 4 beats, whether they're 2 tied half notes over a bar or they're written as a whole note, if you have notes that last 4 beats, will you give me this sort of shape, but not this in action? So please don't go individually from 1 to 11. Please just go individually from about 3 to 7, and then we'll get somewhere around 2 to 8 collectively. Just make sure that we don't get singing sausage links like the way that they're individually. We want to avoid that. Let's start again, please, at measure 62. Measure 62. 1, 2, and up. Good. The S is going to be placed after the tie. So the tie is read. Put a tenuto on it. I'm not going to place the S there. We are not going to place the S on the tie. It's going to be full value. The S goes on the printed quarter rest. I know that's a little, for some of us, the tie, we would normally sort of place it there, but I'm going to extend it. That was pretty good. Basses. In this location, starting at bar 63, will you please write point/forward? Form it. We just need a little bit of brightness as you go lower. We kind of got, we got warm, woofy bass, but we need you to cut just a little bit for us there. Please, you know what I'm talking about, yes? Just you need to, the resonance point is a little bit more forward. Good. Soprano, alto, and bass. So you do these quarter notes. You may not be felt legato. Through the orchestral texture. If we were, 8 people that were singing this with a string quartet, that would be fine. It won't work, though. It's got to be rhythmic, each and every single quarter note, please. Good. Everyone stand, beginning with the movement. Let's run it and see how we do. Susan, can we just start at 16? Actually, can we start at 13? There's something about the energy into that rest. Oh, is it a page turn for you? Okay, here we go at 13. 2, and up. And up. Full forte, and up. Gloria, Gloria. And Gloria, Gloria. Good, don't accent that up. Gloria, and Gloria. Good. Please circle the fermata and draw eyeglasses at measure 67. It will not be cease, Gloria. It will not be in time. The fermata would not be there for it to be in time. The fermata disappeared, but I can feel the energy in the room, and everyone is stopping themselves from singing it in rhythm. Know that it is entirely out of time at that point. And 68 to 69, forte, non-dim. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Boom, right to the bar line. Full, exciting, vibrant. Good, let's go on to the next movement at Terra Pax from a seated position. And some conductors take this very slow. We won't, it's an andante. It moves a little bit. 2, Faces are breathing now. 2 and 1. probably the best movement in the piece. It is the most emotional, connected, it's beautifully written. I'm not going to worry about the main theme. The main thing, it grows and then gets softer. When you do, you say the word bone twice. It's always, it's always quarter note, 8th note, 8th rest that we'll write in every time. But the most beautiful music in the entire piece really happens in 2 locations, and we're going to go to that now. You find measure 60. In this movement, it's really in this movement, but measure 60 is exquisite music in this movement. Susan, would you give us the downbeat there? Just take measure 7, and then would you play the next bar? Next bar, passing note for soprano, and then here, listen to this. Just play that chord again for us, Susan. Next chord, passing tone, and then it starts to relax finally there and goes into a cadenza bar. Can you please start this piano at measure 60, only piano, not pianissimo? Will you write in all caps, senza, for without vibrato? And then it's crescendo poco a poco, and it's full at measure 64 and 5. Those are 2 bars. You've got to think about something personally in your life that you have never gotten that you have wanted. Whatever that is, but it should be profound to you. For me, it's a family, it is a really personal thing, but this has the potential to be a really powerful moment for all of us. Let's start, please, at measure 60. Without vibrato, without oscillation of tone, so that we can let the stacked homophony say what it does in the chord structure. Here's the D7. 1 and 2 and up. That's like a chamber choir piano. We're at bar 60. But will you give us symphony chorus piano so we're with an orchestral ensemble? It's going to be 2 things. One is less breathy than that, and the second is it's going to be more on the voice. Don't think a piano sound is unconnected to your chord. Here's the D7. 2 and up. So we're going to kind of reset, and I'm going to take a little time there. There's going to be a poco riff right there on the downbeat as well. Then let's go, please, now to the downbeat of measure 77. The downbeat of measure 77 is more beautiful than measure 60, but it is essentially the same device that is used compositionally, which is a yearning through basically a harmonic sequence that continues to elevate, and there seems to be a pleading or a prayer for peace or something that's happening here. Let's start, please. The tenors are going to lead us in on the word pox in measure 76. Tenors are going to lead us in on the word pox in measure 76. And everyone else is going to come in subsequently after that. Pianissimo at this location. This is a pianissimo, private, personal sound. There is no breath here at all. You stagger breathe within your sections. Please don't end a syllable early, but there is no planned breath in this until the very, very end, until after the fermata, and it should get louder as it escalates in pitch class. Here's the F sharp, and then here's the B for basses, the D, and the G. Good. Will you stand, please? Here's the word pox, measure 76. 1 and 2 and 3 and. that just octaves that you have? Can you give me A? No, B, just the B and F sharp. It's going to be something like that. Good. Remain standing, please. We're going to go straight on to the next choral movement. This is the Gratias Agibus Tibi. Before we start this, we must do something. Go to the Allegro in the Gratias Agibus Tibi. Good. Just listen for a moment. Half note has the beat. Every single time you've got the tie, it gets cut. There's a full lift that happens, so just cross the tie out each one. It will just be better because I said that. Let's start the adagio. Here's your starting pitches. It sets us up for success after this little E minor thing. Ready? And up. The words I have written in this that you will copy into your markings are, this should be sincerely fun. But one might question, if something is sincerely fun, does one have to write it? Anyway, not too serious or heavy. It's fun music making. Move and dance is natural. Here we go, please. 1 and up. Not really that serious, but it's very, very fun. Good, we're going to skip the next choral movement. We are the Pips, and the alto is Gladys Knight in the next movement. We're just not going to sing through that. I'm not worried about it. We don't need to focus on that. Qui Tolles Peccata Mundi is also like an 18-measure chorus. We won't sing that right now. We'll sing the final two movements that'll then take us into break. Find movement 10, the Quoniam tu solus sanctus. You should already know all of the markings for this movement. 2 and but this is 2 plus 4. Dum Sancto Spiritu, lift, in Gloria, and the rest connects. That'll happen throughout the entire movement. And there's a lot of amens. You'll get the lifts and the markings. We won't go through those. It will take forever. Let's sing this now, please. Here's big D major chord. 2 and up. Dum Sancto Spiritu, Dum Sancto Spiritu, in Gloria Dei, Patris, Dei, very, very well. Thank you. Here in just the next minute or so, but I'm going to bring Kathy up quickly right before break. We'll take care of any administrative announcements, quick reminders, or anything like that. So you all help me welcome Ms. Kathy Sedgwick. Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay. Just so for those of you who are new, if you have questions, if I can't answer them, at least I know who to send you to or how to get the answer, so you're welcome to ask me about anything except music. And I will be doing, for those of you who are new and haven't had a chance, because I just sent out the new book, that thank you. I do send out something that says you were absent today. I'm confirming with you that we're both on the same page. There's way too many of you that I could miss someone. So if there's a discrepancy, then come and tell me, but it's just so that we're on the same page with how many absences. The other thing, remember the part about I don't answer questions about music? I also do not do the seating chart. I manage it, I make it pretty, but I am not the one that puts you where you're seated. So you can come and complain to me, but I can just pass it on.
But folks, we're serious. The seating that we do is really intentional and careful. When we get into sectional rehearsals, the section leader for once from rehearsals now takes 15 minutes from each individual sectional, probably on our Saturday retreat, and voice the choir, which means I'll move you all around. So your seat will really migrate and change pretty regularly for about a month. So if you've got a legitimate issue, there's a sightline issue, you've got to be in the front row because you've got to be seated in the performance, need a music stand, anything like that, certainly communicate it to Kathy, but just know that a lot of thought and intention goes into the placement. But if there's an issue, let us know and we'll handle it, for sure. Sorry,
Not my thought or intention.
I
I know nothing. Bathrooms, if you're new, men's and ladies on the two sides. There is a place online if you need a black performance folder. I will be ordering them. It will be after next week when we finish auditions, or 2 weeks from now. When we finish auditions, and then I'll order them. They usually come in very quickly. I left that up. If you don't want to be responsible for your name tag, then you can put it inside the baggie when you leave. Otherwise, bring it back and forth with you. It's fine with me. There is no rehearsal next week. We have Labor Day. But the following week, this is very important. We are doing auditions in here until 7 p.m. There will be a note on the outside door that will say, do not ring the bell, do not knock, just wait. And when the sign comes down, you can come in. If you don't want to stand out there in the hot weather, don't come until after 7. We're not supposed to be in this hallway because they have other things going on. So don't enter this way thinking, well, I can get in faster. I will be, for those of you who asked, I will update the Google Calendar sometime this week. And my last announcement is, if you were at Summer Sing and you were probably a soprano, because it was over in that area, and you're missing your water bottle from Master Chorale, see me at the break.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm putting faces to all the names on the course roster, and I've gotten about maybe a third of them so far. Oh, new photographs, I'm sorry. Yeah, I need 2/3 more photographs from everybody. Email them to me.
We're trying to have a Facebook for our member contact book. So individuals will know by face but may not know name, and we'll want to reach out or connect with individuals in their section or other sections. So Kathy's going to include a reminder about that in Noteworthy News this week. But please, if you can send Laura a face, or rather a picture of you.
And I can swap it out from a group photo. That's not a problem. I can make you look pretty.
So otherwise, folks, we're going to take about a 15-minute break, but we have an awesome cake. Please enjoy food and snacks. This is Fran Goldenberg, who organizes our snack committee. This journey, so please don't tempt me or offer it, but it's very, very good. I wanted to take a moment. A lot of returning members have been asking me about the handle component to this concert. you all are going to receive some Handel photocopies at our next rehearsal after Labor Day. One of the copies will be a fully marked score of Handel's Zadok the Priest. Zadok the Priest is well known to this chorus, and it's an excellent opener. It's a very, very good, quick opener that involves everyone on stage, the full orchestral ensemble as well, and you actually have a processional element to it. So there's an added layer for us through that. The reason that you don't know the other component of the Handel is I'd like to see how we do in our very first two rehearsals. The Vivaldi, we're going to learn it very quickly. We'll need to dress it up and make it as musical as possible, but we'll be able to learn it quickly. There's another coronation anthem called The King Shall Rejoice that I've had my eyes on for my perform. It's amazing music. Who's done The King Shall Rejoice? It's an exquisite piece in the second movement. It's a really beautiful slow movement. And who knows Handel oratorios that are not Messiah? Can someone raise their hand and tell me a Handel oratorio that is not Messiah, please? Casey?
Jephthah.
Yes, absolutely. Jephthah. Anyone else? Another one? Let's go right here for now.
Judas Maccabeus?
Yes, Judas Maccabeus. It's an excellent one. Hallelujah, amen, amen, hallelujah. Very famous chorus in C major. Yes, right. Solomon. Oh my God. There, in Solomon, there is a scene. So Solomon is the wise king and the just and fair king. There is the scene of the two harlots that is set in the Solomon oratorio, and there is one harlot whose son dies, and she becomes jealous and sees another harlot who has a son at her breast and she's sleeping. The babe is stolen. They then take the case to Solomon, and Solomon says the babe will be cut in two. And then the good harlot, whose babe it actually is, says, no, I cannot see. The title of the aria is, I cannot see my infant gourd. It is one of the most emotional, amazing. Solomon is an exquisite piece of music. Another one, another oratorio. He has over 40. Wow. No one else. Saul, the triumph of time, the triumph of this. Okay, we're gonna have our Saturday retreat. You're gonna hear some more Handel oratorios for sure. But I have an idea for a biblical king's set. So Handel also has an oratorio called Esther. Do you all know the kind of Old Testament story of Esther and Haman? And we may end up doing a biblical kings and queens set where we will sing choruses from these oratorios, and the soloist will also become Solomon, and then we sing, and then Saul, and then we sing, David and Jonathan. And so that's another set in mind, but I've got to see how we do with the Bach. The Bach is not a lot of choral music, but it is very difficult choral writing. Before we start movement one, sopranos and altos, did you see the voice part delineation stuff that Kathy gave you in front? So in the Bach, there are some that are singing soprano twos, a mixture of altos and sopranos. So can I ask please the following folks to stand? Woo-woo, Jerry, and Michelle, will you stand please? Good. Laura, should stand please. Judelle and Casey. Good. Jessica Roman, Lori Olson, and Ruth. Ruth had to leave early. She had a daughter with a surgery. Good. So these ladies are going to be our soprano twos in the soprano section. Then can I ask the following ladies to stand? Carolyn, Phoebe, and Daniela. Michelle Budney, Denise Campbell, and Janet. Then Fran, Dee, Lillian, and Maria. So we're missing a couple here, but I think Fran's actually just right here. So that's going to be our soprano 2 section. What I'd like to ask is, sopranos, will you justify to the far end of the row, please? Also, we will have you'll stop right there, but I'd like to move everyone over. So we're going to justify the whole section. This should be kind of that line, essentially, for us. Thank you. That's going to make it easier, so when we go between the Vivaldi and the Bach, we don't have to change our seating constantly. So just those ladies that are standing are going to sing that middle soprano 2 part. The balance should work out. Have a seat, please, ladies. Thank you. But I have to say this, too. Those ladies who are singing soprano 2 in the Bach, I am going to ask you, will you copy the markings into your scores? If you're a soprano who's singing soprano 2, you might want to jot in the markings for soprano 1 as well. If you're an alto singing soprano 2, you might want to jot in some of the alto markings. And alto 1s who are not singing the soprano 2 line right now, you should probably have the soprano 2 markings when you go to my PDFs, because this voicing is not permanent yet. You must give me 2 to 3 rehearsals. I might need to add a couple more soprano 1s if you need a little bit more high and a little bit more ping. We might need to add some altos up to it for like 2 movements but not 2 others. So these assignments are tentative. For most of you, it really will be permanent. I think we're just going to add folks, probably not subtract. But please give me a little flexibility. If you're a highlighter of your score, don't highlight the entire line yet because it might change. You must give me flexibility for just a couple weeks. That's the only PSA. Have a stand, please. Oh my God, I love this piece so much. It's so good. Good, Susan. It makes no sense to hear the piano intro. It's brass and strings and all sorts of things. It's not written for a keyboardist whose hand. We're going to start, please, at measure 26, 27. Measure 27. And then we'll come in at the choral entrance. Would you please sing this entire chorus for me on Da? Everyone is just going to sing on Da. And again, soprano 2s, you know where you're at. Soprano 1s and altos. Here we go, please. In 3, measure 27. 1 and 2 and 3 and typically at Master Pro, the way that we rehearse these movements is first in sectionals. So we typically do not have all the soprano ones stand up, teach all the pitches and the rhythms and that sort of thing. We'll do a little bit of that right now because I just want to assess kind of where we are. Head right back, please, to the beginning of the tune, measure 31. Measure 31, the beginning of this movement. Good. Susan, would you please play for me the soprano 2 line right there at your leisure at 31? Good. Then when we play the alto line at measure 32. Good. So you can hear the similarity of that, of course. Will you play the soprano 1 line for us at measure 31. Then will you play the tenor line at measure 32? So each one of these coloratura lines have a relationship. Usually there's a primary theme and then a decorated theme. Opinions differ in musicologists which one would be considered the primary theme. Ya ba bi ba di da 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 or ba da di da da da. It doesn't really matter for us right now. I just want to make sure that we sing cleanly. And then go to measure 32, 3, 4, measure 35. You must listen to the tenor line and the alto line together. Would you play that for us, Susan? That is the closest thing to the primary melodic theme or motive that we get. Listen to it in the alto line. That staccato dot should be taken seriously. You'll see other staccato dots that are in parentheses as well throughout the score. Use those. Ma ha ha, ha 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 ha. There's just a little bit of space. And then would you play the soprano 1 line for us, Susan, please, at measure 36? So each one of these kind of major phrases are set up usually by pairs. They're duet, 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 and then what's called, I call in choral rehearsals, a breakout, which means whatever material is introduced in duets in small segmented forms then becomes complex, celebrated, and is an absolute compositional genius thing, but very difficult to line up vocally. Very, very difficult. So let's please start with everyone but the basses. I have soprano 1, 2, and alto and tenors only. We're going to start at the top of the tune. We're going to switch to do. And will you not sing musically for me? Will you sing as absolutely accurately as possible? For the 16 notes, doobie 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 doo do do. If it's 16 notes, doobie doobie doo. If it's not 16s, do do do. Here's the thank you, Susan. 2 and 3 and up. Doobie 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 doo. And up. Doobie doobie doo doobie 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 So there's, the bass is actually the most important in 37 on, but we're going to work them in a moment here. Let's listen to this duet. Soprano 1, would you stand? And when I say soprano 1, you have to know, okay, soprano 1 in this piece. I might be a soprano 1, but it's bottom soprano 1. Soprano 2s, will you stand, please? Good. Can I have only these two voice parts starting at the top? Measure 31. 2 and 3 and up. Good, thank you. We're missing D. And Denise, who around you are we missing? Okay. Some alto ones are going to end up, I can just tell already. Can I have soprano 2s alone, please, for a moment? 2 and 3 and up. And 1. And up. Good. It's gonna be okay. The altos do do. Don't keep it in do da da da. You can open the vowel there. It's gonna be much more comfortable at the D natural. Okay, good. And Lillian and Maria, which will give us some darker colors up at the D natural in a good way. Heather, I've got you singing alto right now, yeah? And Casey, you're singing soprano 2 right now, right? This Casey, not that Casey. It's going to take a little bit. Okay, good. May I please have altos stand? Good, may I hear only our treble voices here, no tenor basses, starting at measure 31 again. 2 and 3 and up. Thank you. That didn't should be the. It just feels so good to you. Good. Altos can sit. Thank you, altos. Good. This soprano duet is without a doubt the most, well, I mean, the bass really leads all the harmonic motion. Can I please have measure 36 and 2 sopranos? Measure 36. Good. And Susan, will you play as loud as possible, even if it's totally unmusical, to help them just a little bit? Can I have a D natural, the high D natural? Careful, there are 2 16th notes. The downbeat measure 38 sopranos. You're used to the 16th and then an 8th note dismount, but it's 16th, 16th, 8, up. Bada gida gada gida ga. Let's try, please. 36, these top 2 parts on do and do. 2 and 3 and up. No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to let that slide because I want us to make sure that we're paying attention to it. There's a staccato dot. Ba gida ga da ga. It's got to be short. 2 and 3 and up. Circle that G natural, measure 42. Listen for me, please. Soprano 2 starting at measure 39. Measure 39. Would you play that D major thing? And then the dismount is fine, but once you get that G natural, it is absolutely, it's the whole part right there. Can I please have soprano 1 and 2 one last time, starting at measure 36? Hang on just 1 second. Jan.
Janet is in the back.
Where's Jan?
She's here.
Hey Janet,
Hi.
I'm sorry I didn't even see you at all. It's good
That's
to
okay.
see you. Happy summer. Welcome back. We're not going to have a whole thing, but okay, there's some other alto 1 uppers and alto 1 lowers are probably going to end up joining the soprano 2 line, but we won't take the time to do it now. Last time, please, measure 36. Thanks for your patience with this. It's just so important to hear this. Thank you for your patience, tenors and basses in particular. 2 and 3 and up. Good. Basses at measure 37, you can sing louder and a little bit more confidently. It's actually, the voice leading there is pretty logical, so we should be able to read that pretty well. It's an awesome part at 37. This is tutti ensemble, measure 31, vocal entrance, measure 31. Same syllables of vowel, same syllables. 2 and 3 and up. And aspirational tempo is Magnificat, Magnificat, we really can do that tempo. And I think we can do it because the coloratura is not like 8 measures of coloratura. It's like, okay, if I can do these 8/16 notes, I'm totally fine. We can keep it vibrant in line. It's an awesome piece of music. I mean, it's just amazing. Let's go on to the next choral movement. It's omnes generationes. You'll hear me saying instead of generatie, gene, we'll do a Germanic Latin pronunciation. So we'll use some German diction rules and apply them to Latin. Now the omnes comes out of movement 3, which is quia respexi. The quia respexi is the most significant movement from the entire mag because it's supposed to be sung by Mary. The soprano one solo sings it, but it is Mary singing in the piece. It's a really exquisite moment. It's a duet between Mary and an oboe, and it's an attacca transition. The omnes is really the second half of the third movement. We just happen to call it the fourth movement for convenience and organization within the addition of the score. So let's start at the downbeat of movement 4. We won't worry about the tempo transition. Same text rule is going to be doobie-doobie-doo. Sight reading 16th note works well for us as an ensemble. We're not count singers in general across the choir. Some of us feel great about it, some of us hate it. So we'll do doobie-doobie-doo. I'm sorry, Susan, would you give us one more time the downbeat? Good. So the aspirational tempo is omnes, omnes, generati. Omnes, 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 omnes. So we'll do yampan, pinta, yapakaka. That's going to be our 16th note now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in fugal writing or imitative polyphonic writing, we talk a lot about transparency in choral rehearsals to make sure that importance, it's not just a wash of sound, but we know, oh, they're louder here, so I need to be softer. All the dynamics are marked, you'll get it, but let's kind of track it for a moment. You're going to notice repeating 8 notes on omnes, omnes. So in measure 1, it's the bass. In measure 2, it's the soprano 1. In measure 2, it's the soprano 2. In measure 3, it's the alto. In measure 3, then it's the tenor. Then it's the bass. Then if we go a little bit further into the piece, it usually takes on this iteration. Soprano 1 at measure 6. Altos in measure 7. Soprano 1s in measure 8. It's kind of tracked all over. Then in measure 10, basses. Do-dee-da-dee. They have 2 16ths instead of just the 4 8s, but it's the same exact thing. So whenever you see that repeated pitches like that, I'd like you to sing. If you don't see that, I don't want you to sing. So what we should hear right now is basically 2 beats of a voice part, 2 beats of a voice part, 2 beats of a voice part, 2 beats of a voice part. And what we're trying to do is track the harmonic progression through the piece, which is far simpler than what you think because of everything that you're seeing right now. And once you understand a scaffolding of the structure, you think, oh, so as long as these 8/16 notes lead to that, everything starts to make a lot more sense. So we're going to track only sing that. So you're not going to sing chromatic, difficult 16ths. You're only singing the repeated 8ths, or in a couple of cases, 2 16ths and 3 8ths. Let's sing please on da, 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 an open vowel. Let's start on the downbeat. And then Susan, if you can kind of help track us with it a little bit. Here we go, please. 2 and basses start. And da, 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 da. And up. Soprano 2, careful in measure 5. Soprano 2, careful in measure 5, the G natural there, but we weren't quite sure where we were in the tempo relationship. So let's start one more time at the top. Here's the F sharp. 2 and 3 and 4 and and out, 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 and out, out. Tenors, basses, soprano 2s, altos, soprano 2s, A, soprano and soprano 2s, F sharp. Good, so that's it. What I'd like us to do is this. If you sing the pitch for gen of generaciones, it won't work out. You can only sing the fourth. Ya, ba, di, da, out. That's it. If you sing the next note, you'll find that the harmony overlaps, which creates intrigue, but it defeats the purpose of this exercise. This is the last time we'll do it. Hopefully it'll be successful this time. I'm sorry? Exactly right. And I want to bring that out, or I want to feature that. Great. Here's the F sharp. Here we go, please. One last time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and da 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 and up and da 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 and G A C sharp. And if you understand, oh my gosh, there are guideposts that I can go to, it makes the movement digestible all of a sudden. If we go on, the same exact thing happens. Let's go to bar 10. Bar 10, it's an A natural in the bass, and then an E natural in the soprano 1, 3, E, and da 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 da. Tenor, soprano 2, bass, alto, soprano 1, tenor, soprano 2, bass, soprano 1, and alto, soprano 2, soprano 1, tenor, bass, soprano 2, soprano 1, alto, bass, tenor, Good. So then it goes on and on and on. That is the basic structure, and that's what we are cellularly trying to track as a listener and as an understander of the movement. That was less effective than I anticipated. Movement 7, please. It is a. There will be a once you sort of know it a little bit better, that will be fruitful to you, but not tonight. That's okay. This is one of the toughest movements. Stand. Movement 7. Fixit potentia. Good. Sing please on on do. D-O-H, D-O-H. It's in 4. 1 and 2 and 3, E and a do. Do, 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 do. So that movement is, the text translation is, he has shown strength with his arm, he has scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. It's an exquisite movement, it takes a lot of work. There are a lot of sevenths in 16-note jumps, especially for the basses when it finally comes to their time. It's a tough little movement. It's not the Vivaldi. You know, the Vivaldi, it's fine. Let's go on, please, to Zikut, movement 11. This is into Zikut. Good, let's try this on text, please. Into 1 and 2 and ready and The first is, please look at the Gloria Patri, movement 12, Ab Sicut Locutus. That's going to be a very easy tutti rehearsal for us. Not a lot of sectional work in that one. In the Gloria, you must look at the way this is written. It's very much like the Sanctus in the B minor Mass. In the second measure, you'll notice that la ha 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 ha, and the bass line is a dotted eighth followed by a 16th. What we are going to do is the 16th note lines up with the final triplet. So bass, when you see the dotted eighth 16, it can't be tripa da 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 dee da 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 da. Don't think of it as duple triple like that. It's just it's a way of notating it in that even way. So every single time a dotted eighth note followed by 16th equals 2 triplets tied, and then the third triplet. So just line up your 16th with the final triplet. It's in the markings, y'all will get it, but if I didn't explain that, we would be SOL in the read-through. Then go on, please, to the 3/4 section. It's like measure 19, measure 20. Will you play for us, Susan, the vocal entrance at like 22? So this is almost identical to what we hear in the very first movement. And when you hear it with the orchestra, you'll hear it's almost identical to that. And the reason is that the text here is, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. And it's cute and amazing and adorable and awesome. Stand, Gloria. A major. 3 and Gloria. Then there's also going to be 2 movements of the Vivaldi. Those are going to be what we're going to focus on in the next rehearsal. So get all the markings that you can in your score. buy that following rehearsal, but don't feel like you need to concentrate on every movement. There's going to be about 4 movements of music to actually focus on your part and part learning. Sopranos and altos give me a couple of weeks of flexibility for the exact voice part assignments. The ladies who are singing soprano 2 tonight, you will absolutely sing soprano 2. I might just add a couple of altos, and I will email you all over the next couple of weeks, so you're not just looking at one single part. There's got to be a little flexibility there. In addition to that, because of all the talking that we do in first rehearsal, I've gone over. Your time is important to me, so there's 5 minutes in the bank for you all. And in our next rehearsal, I will let you all out 5 minutes early. Because I hate conductors who do that, and I apologize, but it's a first rehearsal. This was excellent. Please help me thank Susan Dodd. If you're a new singer, will you stand up?